guys, what's going on? Welcome to the What's Poppin' movie review. I struggled there. I was gonna say podcast. Got done filming that. Welcome to the What's Poppin' movie review of Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie.
Yes,
it's weird to say that.
It is really weird. Yeah, and it's
like,
from Sega.
Because this is stuff that I would talk about with like my friends. Like back in the day, we'd be like, what if they ever made like a Sonic live action movie? What would that look like?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just, we would say it just to kind of like meme out because they made a Mario movie. So that, it makes sense that they would make a Sonic movie. And we got one. We finally got one. And wow, okay. I have no idea what your thoughts are about this film yet.
Okay.
So,
okay. Fair
yes.
enough.
But let me give you guys a little bit of history with the Sonic the Hedgehog, and you can give me yours, okay? In terms of like your relationship, like do you have any attachment to the character at all, or if you played any of the other games and stuff?
Okay.
So me, I've been playing the game since the original Sonic the Hedgehog. I've never actually owned a Sega Genesis, like first one,
right?
Because I was a Super Nintendo guy, like our Nintendo house. My house is all Nintendo, but my neighbor was a Sega guy.
There you go.
And so we would always borrow each other's consoles to be able to play those Sega Genesis games.
Right. Yeah.
And I remember playing Sonic the Hedgehog 1, 2, 3, and then I bought Knuckles, and then anytime he would let me borrow it, I'd play it. So I bought a game that I didn't even own a console for, but I wanted it. So I remember like those four games, like I had like an attachment for, especially 3 and 4, or 3 and Sonic and Knuckles. Like, oh my god, classics. And then eventually Sega Dreamcast came out, and then I played all the other Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, which I still have my 2 copies for. Actually, my original copies.
Damn,
I still have those. And then after that, the game started to get a little weird. And it's been getting a kind of a bad rep since then for Sonic the Hedgehog. So it took a huge nosedive, but Sonic X was roughly around 2003 to 2006. I never got into the show, but I've heard nothing but great and positive things from it. And it also has like an iconic intro and music to it as well. But pretty much after Sonic X, everything else has been kind of shit. And I'm just gonna be completely honest.
Didn't they make a Switch release earlier, or was it only a Switch game where it had like the old ones but also kind of a new series?
Yeah, it had a twist to it, and they had like other new content added. So Sonic Mania was the most recent.
That's it.
Released, I believe 2018, if I want to say.
Yeah,
2018. So that was the last actual good Sonic game, but they had to go back and use the original formula, because any of the 3D ones after that have been kind of whatever, in my opinion. I'm telling you, I think in my opinion, the last good Sonic games were Adventure 1 and 2. Mania was pretty good, but it's just the fact that they used a lot of the old material stuff. They made a couple new levels here and there, but a lot of it, some of those levels were from the older games. So it was nothing too new, I guess, in my opinion. And any of the 3D games were pretty much trash. And so it's kind of it's had a pretty bad rep, but Sonic is such an iconic character, man, in video game history. He really is. He's up there with Mario. I know a lot of people probably want to compare that, but at one point they were competitors too. It was Sonic or Mario. And
I know that Sonic was designed to compete specifically with Mario. They had that in mind, from the way he was designed, to the color palette, to everything about the character was meant to be an attempt to clash with the plumber from Nintendo. So I'm very different in my background with Sonic, because my grandma, bless her heart, went garage sailing a lot, and so I got to grow up kind of in the order of video games that you did. My first ever system was a SNES. It wasn't a NES, but it was a Super Nintendo. And with that, she also got a Sega Genesis. And so I played the Sonic on that. I was never good at those games, though. I sucked ass at Sonic. And so I never ever beat them or even played too much of them. And then I didn't see or hear anything from Sonic until the Wii days, where all of a sudden it's the 3D ones where he's playing, like he's got like a Wolverine one. He's one where he's like a knight.
Unleashed, yeah. And then
Sonic,
he's a knight in that one too.
And then there's the one
that's really weird.
It got
really weird, man.
Yeah. And I know there was Sonic 06, and a lot of those I've seen the playthrough of from watching people rip them apart, just laughing the whole way through at how bad of a game they are. Yeah, he became
pretty much a joke. Like, those games are really pretty much a joke. I know some people actually liked Unleashed. That one's kind of debatable. It could be like, maybe one of the okay ones or whatever, but it wasn't a great one. We're not talking Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. Those are great games. Adventure 2 specifically. And then Sonic Colors, I played a little bit of, which wasn't too bad, but wasn't great.
Right.
I had good music as well. Now, Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie. Well, now that we kind of got our background out as far as the game goes. What are your initial thoughts? Like, going into it? Going into it, what were your initial thoughts?
I was walking into this thing like, I don't know what the hell to expect from this. It's either going to be really awkward and cringy the whole way through, or it's gonna be, at best case scenario, fun.
Okay.
And when I walked in there, I was pleasantly kind of surprised. Unlike Birds of Prey, my theater was full.
Okay.
Every single seat was full, which doesn't happen very often, which means that for whatever reason, on this matinee on a Saturday, that was the day to be there. And they were there. I mean, it was full crowd. Everybody looked excited. There was little kids. There was adults. It was like a whole age range, which I think speaks to this movie having a wider demographic than some people think it does, because of how long the characters existed. That some people are like, I want to see that movie because I grew up with that character. And some kids are like, I want to see that movie because right now that's the game I'm playing. So it's kind of interesting with that. So I didn't know what to expect going into this. I don't know how you were.
Okay. So I'm going to be completely honest with you, okay? I think a lot of people know this. I've talked about it in my live streams. Ever since this movie got announced, right? I've been on top of it. A lot of people don't know this, but I've been on top of the casting of who was getting casted for who, the voice. I remember when Jim Carrey got announced as Dr. Robotnik, people laughed at me. They thought that I was getting my information from a wrong place, and they didn't think I was real. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And I'm just like, dude, this was years ago. I'm talking about 2 years ago.
Wow.
When they were talking about Jim Carrey was going to play Dr. Robotnik. I'm like, oh, watch when it happens. Like, you guys, I'm telling you, that's a thing. That's the
and now you
get
to clap back at the doubters.
Exactly. So I've been on top of this movie for a while because I low-key wanted it to be successful. Now, when the trailers dropped, everybody can agree it was fucking trash, especially with the look that they gave us firsthand.
Nightmare. That's the right word for that.
Dude. And let me just go ahead and say this before we get into the full review here, is that if we had that Sonic in this movie, the movie would have never worked. And I think a lot of you guys know that. And don't play yourselves. Let's be completely honest here. That movie would have never fucking worked with that old Sonic. It just would have been terrible. There's going to be like distracting as hell.
There's going to be like 6 or 7 people who are going to see this, and they're going to go, actually, I would have loved to have seen that. No, you wouldn't have.
Yeah,
and you know
there's a thing on Twitter right now where people want them to release the ugly version of Sonic the movie.
No,
and nobody wants to watch that shit, bro. And first of all, if that was the case, then people would have never complained about getting him changed, and all of a sudden you want to watch the original version. Real
quick, can we just acknowledge how rare that is for a studio to actually buckle to public demand like that and redo the That's props to the visual artist, because I know that the studio was overworked. I think they were like 80+ hour work weeks the whole time to make the change happen. So props to them. It worked as far as the change, the visuals. I think that was pretty much just Sonic from the games slapped onto the big screen. And I think that's something that really helped the movie. I'll say that to tease how I feel about the movie and everything. But
Yeah, right. So now I was kind of like, after watching all that and then they finally redid him, I was still not really convinced after watching even with the new trailer that I love the way he looked, but I wasn't convinced that the movie was going to be any good still. Like it reminded me of like the early 2000 films like Yogi Bear,
Smurfs.
and the Smurfs, like those movies. And I'm just like, oh god, dude, like Sonic in the city, he's getting lost and he's interacting with people. This reminds me of Sonic 06. I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna be fucking bad. And I don't want this movie to be bad. I want it to be one of those films that actually a standout, you know. I wanted it to, I was rooting it for it to be better than Detective Pikachu because I didn't like Detective Pikachu. I really didn't. Ryan Reynolds was great as Pikachu, but everything else I didn't like it at all. So I was rooting for this one to be better. Now going into the film, my expectations were pretty damn low, and I was just like, we'll see what happens, you know. See what happens. And I can honestly say that I enjoyed it.
Ooh, okay.
I enjoyed it. I'm not gonna say that I don't think it's like a masterpiece or anything like that.
There is some
flaws to the movie, and I do have to rate this movie a little bit different compared to other movies, just because. Just to kind of give you guys a heads up, this movie is meant for kids, right? And also the hardcore fans of the series.
I would say so.
I think anybody that has no knowledge of Sonic and has never played the games, they're probably not really gonna enjoy it as much. Just because it's gonna be whatever's to them. But this movie works as a kids movie so well because of Sonic, and the way Ben Schwartz voiced him was fucking fantastic, dude. And he played him like a child, like a young kid. So a lot of these kids are going to relate to him. They're going to want to be all hyper, and they just love that character of Sonic. And for the fans, the hardcore fans, we love the way he voiced him, and we love obviously the way he looked and stuff. And it was enjoyable, man. Like I had fun with it. Like I said, but like for like hardcore fans, all the Easter eggs that were left in there, and it wasn't like super fan servicey stuff where it's just like they put it in there in your face. You're like, oh, that's that thing, No, you kind of had to actually look for it and catch it in the background sometimes. And also there's like signs and stuff that I was like, oh my god, that's really cool, And you hear like little music tones here and there from the soundtrack, and I'm just like, I like what they did there. So I was smiling throughout the whole film, and I also got a couple laughs. Surprisingly, I laughed a couple times, dude. Some jokes didn't really hit as well, but there were some that they caught me. Like there was one in particular where Sonic was pretty much he was staying in a hotel with one of the main characters, which is the cop, James Marsden, Tom Wachowski. He's staying in the hotel room, and he told him he burped, right? And then he's like, oh, what did you eat? He goes, I had this thing called a chili dog or something. And then he farts or something, and he goes, ew. He's like, you might want to check your fur on that one, buddy. Dude, me and my buddy started laughing because we just didn't expect that response out of it.
Right, yeah.
But both of them, the lines were delivered so good, man.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah. And but yeah, let me get your thoughts about this film so far. Like, what were you thinking?
Well, I'll tell you this. Like usual with the wife, and she knows absolutely diddly squat about this entire character, anything like that.
So that's
and
so that's good to hear her opinion then.
She liked it a bit more than I did.
Okay, wow.
Which surprised me because she didn't know anything. She found a lot to laugh at in this movie. For some reason, she loved it a lot. I laughed at most of the things that they showed to be funny. A lot of different little one-liners. One thing that was funny to me that I hope people who are fans of meme culture are aware is there's a guy, I can't remember what they call him. He's like a crazy guy who's like a local. and he holds up a drawing of the Blue Devil, and it's literally that horrible meme artwork of Sonic.
It is Sonic, and I'm so happy. I am so happy. That was like the first laugh of the movie too. I'm so happy they included Sonic, dude.
Yeah, that was funny.
One of the main things, I wasn't expecting that at all either.
No, I wasn't either.
I didn't acknowledge it, but dude, oh my god, it was so fucking perfect. So that was definitely a highlight of the film. That was really good.
Yeah, I actually really liked it too.
You did.
I tried to make people when they asked me about it before this review here. I tried to lead them onto it, like I was getting ready to rev up another rage or whatever. But no, I thought it was quite enjoyable, which is surprising and also kind of a relief because video game movies have been the curse of a movie. If you're making a video game movie, pretty much all of Hollywood, the audience think, well, you're doing a Doom project, aren't you?
Yeah, pretty much.
This isn't going to change the game, but it is going to be like, oh, put the foot in the door. Not so fast. Well, in this case, got to go fast, but don't get carried away. Not all video game movies are awful.
Shit. Yeah. This was a huge win for the community of people, of video game lovers and video game movies, for us to like wanting to be successful and have these studios put in more money so that we can get a bigger budget and they can tell the story that we want to be told. You understand? Sure. Yeah. Now, I still want to touch on a couple of things that I really, really liked on the film, and then I also want to touch on things that I didn't like on the film, because by all means, this film is not a perfect movie.
No.
There's quite a few things that I wish they would have done a lot better in terms of story and also characters and certain things. And but yeah, other thing that I want to acknowledge, one of my favorite things about this movie, aside from Ben Schwartz's performance as Sonic, is Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey fucking did a fantastic job as Dr. Robotnik, man. He did a really good job. And it's really cool because there's character development with Dr. Robotnik, man. In the beginning, he's always, from the beginning to end, he's always just like a straight asshole. He's ignorant, like egotistical, like just monster, man. He's just from beginning to end, right? But he starts to slowly lose his mind, and by the end of the film, he's full on Dr. Robotnik, dude. And it is fucking awesome. Like, I loved him. By the end of the film, I'm just like, that's the Robotnik. Like, that's him. I got it, dude.
I loved seeing Jim Carrey be the Jim Carrey that we all know and love. From Ace Ventura, from Grinch Stole Christmas, he was off the chain, just free to be himself, and it was wonderful.
I was a little scared from that as well, because I didn't want it to be like, oh, Jim Carrey's gonna try to channel something that, you know, that we all love, but is it gonna hit? You know what I mean? Or is it gonna just seem like a little too late? That maybe, you know what I mean? It's gonna be like he's almost trying too hard, but no, he did a fantastic job. The character just fit well.
He made me laugh a couple times. His character funny.
Had some jokes in there. Yes, I loved it. But go ahead and continue.
I would say overall the vibe for this, and why I think very positively of it, is Sonic should and always should be something that caters to a younger audience. And this movie, while it is live action, is like a live action cartoon, and that's not a bad thing. I think that's actually to the strength of the concept that is Sonic. And I think it just leans into it good, and I had a good time with the movie. So I can't wait to talk a little bit about spoilers, but as far as non-spoilers go, I definitely recommend this movie. If you're a fan of Sonic or not, I would say give it a try.
Okay. Yeah, I would recommend it. I still feel the same. In terms of that, I think this movie is really meant for more particular leaning towards kids and the hardcore fans. But it's interesting to hear that your girlfriend had no knowledge of any of this, and she really enjoyed it. So that's good.
She was laughing hard.
You know what I mean?
It was funny.
I definitely want to touch on leaning towards the bad stuff here.
Okay.
Now, in terms of story goes, I think the story was okay. Only because I want to see more of the Sonic characters and the Sonic stuff in the film and not interact so much with human beings.
It fell into that trap.
But keep in mind, I understand this, that it is a good setup for a sequel to where it leads more towards it's gonna just follow the main characters of like the Sonic universe, and then to where the point where it's just gonna be Robotnik, the only human in the film. And I hope it goes that route. I really hope it goes that route, because then the way it's looking, there's potential, man. So with this film, although I wasn't a big fan of the whole human interaction stuff, it seemed a little awkward. Even the bar scene and stuff like that, it seemed awkward at times. It was a little cringy. It was too like it just obviously, like I said, kids movie stuff. So that stuff just didn't hit well with me. But like I said, I think it's a nice setup for the sequel. I believe that the sequel could potentially be a lot better than this one, and they could just, if they can get the right budget for it as well, since all the success is getting, because it's getting praised pretty damn good, and I'm happy the success is getting. And also, Ben Schwartz has been very active on Twitter, and he's just been like overwhelmingly positive about everything. He's just so appreciative, dude, and it gives me like, it warms the heart of it, because it's just like finally we got somebody that actually gives a shit about the community, the fans, and the games. You know what I mean? Same thing for Jim Carrey. He was so happy at the fact that that a lot of the fans spoke out and pretty much said that that he was happy that they wanted the Sonic character to be changed because of how terrible it looked. But now, so I feel like the story could have been, it could have been just a little bit better, but I think it's a nice setup for the sequel for sure. Also, you do have to turn off your you can't really look at this movie as like realistic at all, because
you gotta put your kids glasses on to see this movie.
You clearly just have to see this movie as like entertainment for sure. Cartoonish, live action cartoonish film, because there's a lot of things there is just like, what, that's not gonna make sense or whatever, because the whole movie doesn't make fucking sense, because it's a hedgehog, you know what I mean? So it's a running hedgehog running away from this lunatic trying to kill him. And there's a couple scenes where he's like running through San Francisco and there's like clearly nobody there. Like all of San Francisco is empty, but he's like running away from Robotnik and stuff, and it's just like, where's everybody at? It was a little awkward moment. One thing I really did like that I actually talked about on my live stream yesterday was there was never really like a reasoning why they called Dr. Robotnik Eggman. Other than the fact that he was kind of shaped like an egg, as far as I remember,
in the
video games.
In the games. Yeah.
And in this one, I like the reasoning for it, because Sonic gives him the nickname Eggman because there's these little drones that he has that are shaped like eggs. And there's a whole bunch of them. He calls them Eggman because he's controlling all of them.
I have a question.
And I'm like, I like that better.
Yeah, I have a question.
Makes a little bit more sense. Yeah.
Was it awkward when he said, "Let me show you what's in my egg sack"? Was that was a line that I was like, hold on, funny, what did he say?
But that was like a grown adult joke, though.
Yeah, I was like,
that was a grown adult joke. Yeah, there was a couple of those. You know what I mean?
I was like, sheesh.
Like I said, even the chili dog one was kind of an adult one, because only the adults laughed at that in the theaters. But everybody seemed to be having a good time in my movie theater. Like everybody was laughing, everybody clapped at the end too. So they were really they enjoyed it too. Now remember, guys, that there is 2 end credit scenes. One of them kind of it's pretty much right after, right?
It's pretty quick after, like the little splurge of "this was Sonic the movie," and then it's boom.
And then there's like one scene there, and then it goes into like a whole animation of running, like the video game animation. Once that video game animation ends, we get another cutscene, and then it goes into the actual credits.
And
once it goes to the credits, there's nothing after that, because we sat through it thinking that there was going to be a third one, but there's no third one. That's it. There's only 2 of those, which we will touch on, those 2 end credit scenes.
I think they're both worth watching.
Yeah, they are. I just want to get your opinion on, if there's anything else that you didn't really like in the film that you wish to kind of touch on a little bit better.
I think you touched on most of it. I think my biggest issue was the whole bar fight moments in the movie that happens. A lot of that was either overacted, underacted, or I didn't believe it for a lot of that. It kind of just took me out a bit. I know that they were tempted and they did it. but they did it a little too often. Of the Quicksilver from X-Men Days of Future Past moment.
I was gonna mention that right now before you actually went to that. Yeah. They had the whole Days of Future Past Quicksilver moment.
Which doing it once is fine, but doing it a lot.
Quicksilver has like 3 of those moments in 3 different films.
Yeah.
But in this one, he has it like twice or 3 times.
It was like 3 times. I think 3 times or so.
Yeah, I think. I don't know.
Maybe I don't know how 4. It might have been even 4.
Yeah, I think they overdid it a couple times.
Yeah.
I don't think they needed to. They really didn't need to overdo it sometimes. I think only in epic, like real epic slow motion moments, it would have been great. The bar sequence, when he first does it, he does it. It lands perfectly fine, and it's actually really funny too.
Sure.
And then also I think the last part I didn't really. It was kind of whatever's about it.
Right.
Where he's like dodging all the eggs and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, trying to sit there. That one kind of. I think they could have left without it. I think it would have been cool if he just kind of like spun around and just started breaking all of them or something, and then save his buddy and his wife. But yeah, I like you said, they definitely took inspiration from Days of Future Past. Like it is clear as day. If you guys have never seen the X-Men movies, was it First Class that first happened?
Days of Future Past is where we first meet Quicksilver, and then he does it again in Apocalypse. I know that for a fact. So those two he does it a lot.
You can even YouTube it if you've never seen those X-Men films. You can do the Quicksilver scenes. Mm-hmm. It is pinpoint as accurate, dude. Like it is very clearly it is inspired by it. But yeah, is there anything else you wanted to
Not
say?
really. I mean, we're going to get more detailed in the spoiler section, but as far as non-spoilers, too many details, that's pretty much what we've covered is about where
all right, so now I want to get to the rating, my good man. What did you think? What did you get this movie?
Well, it was tough, and so I had to break kind of my own rule to never really find a wedge point. 3.5. It is slightly buttered. It's not worth calling plain. I don't think it's very plain for me. But I don't think it's something I would give fully buttered, as in something I would like to watch again and again and again. But I would say it's a solid 3.5 for me. I don't know about you.
I don't know why you said 3.5, because that's exactly what I was thinking too, man. And just because like it wasn't a 4. It was clearly not a 4. No. But it wasn't just like a plain either, a 3. So it's like
it had to be that little notch.
It was like just a 3.5, and we rarely go points. We try to really stick to the numbers, but this one's literally like borderline almost a 4, but not really.
It's got a splash of butter on it.
It's got some butter on there, and we'll have it, with some water on the side. It was enjoyable, and that's what this movie was. It was very enjoyable. I'm very happy with it. I hope we can get a sequel for sure.
Yes.
Primarily focused more on the actual Sonic universe characters and stuff like that in the world of Sonic, and not just like Earth and stuff like that. All that, like I said, I get it. I get the reasoning.
Which it kind of the very beginning of the movie. Yeah, the very beginning of the movie and the way the movie ends.
The very beginning, the stuff that they showed in the beginning, I was like, oh, this looks so good, man. If they could just focus more on that, like. And I mean, we'll get into a little bit more in the spoiler section. Certain things that we want to touch on that revolves around that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. 3.5 for Tim. We definitely recommend it to watch it in theaters for sure. And definitely rent it, if you want to wait.
For sure.
It's definitely worth the watch, guys. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the review. We're going to go ahead and touch on more like spoiler related topic stuff. So if you guys want to click out of the video, totally understandable. But for those of you that want to stick around and talk spoilers with us, let's get into it. So Tim, let's talk about the first end credit scene, which was Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik, fully Dr. Robotnik,
full on foof. Like your crazy
mustache, and he just had the bald hair. He shaved his whole hair. and
he's making jokes.
He was making jokes. He looked exactly. He lost his mind because clearly he was been on that mushroom world for quite a bit. It seems
and
like.
It looked like he was starting to get a bit of a belly too, which I think is a nod to the fact that he's going to get a bigger.
He's going to get bigger. Yeah. It seems like he was actually going to get. He was going to outgrow the outfit that he had on. So I was pleased with it, man, because at that point he fully like. He's Dr. Eggman, Dr. Robotnik at the end of the film. Like I said at the beginning of the movie, he's introduced as Dr. Ivo Robotnik.
What did you think of his whole like the high council of the government saying, "No, not him. We can't trust this man. He's our only hope." Like it was so funny to me because it's just like, this is ridiculous, but I love it.
But it worked for this movie. It worked, obviously. So I was very happy with that end credit scene. I think if we can get him more like that, where he's completely lost his mind and he's just all about trying to kill Sonic or capture him and, do his experiments, because that's pretty much what his initial thing was in the beginning. So I think if they focus more on the world and the characters with that Dr. Robotnik and him going through those portal rings and these different worlds, like mushroom worlds and the world he was from in the beginning.
Which that was a cool concept.
That was really
was that
cool,
from
man.
A video game ever before where the rings are portals?
I mean, yes.
Okay.
I believe like it's Sonic 3 where he would jump through the rings. It was like the giant rings and it would just portal through.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that. I was like, that's cool.
Stages too. There was some where the giant rings were bonus stages.
Oh, cool.
And so that was always been a thing.
That's a nod then. I didn't realize it was a nod.
Yeah, like that was always been a thing. Now what I want, let's talk about the other cutscene before we get into the stuff that we really want for like
this one made me sit up in my seat.
Yeah. So the last cutscene is the big reveal of which I thought it was going to be Knuckles for some reason, but that wouldn't have made sense just yet. Not just yet. Not yet. But is Tails. We got Tails, man. And the voice was really good.
Really good.
Dude.
And it looked great.
It looked just like Tails. I was like, whoa. And my buddy Anthony that was sitting next to me, he's like a big Tails fan. But dude, Miles Tails is in the movie. It is voiced by Colleen O'Shaughnessy. O'Shaughnessy. I can't even pronounce it correctly. But apparently she's voiced a couple. She's done a couple animated films and in video games as well. She was also in Sonic Boom. She voiced Miles Tails in that. So that's cool that she got, she's already played the character before. So, but yeah, dude, her voice was perfect as Tails, man. I was really pleased in the way he looked, and he had the little radar thing looking for Sonic. And I'm assuming the setup is that what I'm saying hopeful for is him and Tails have to go to the different worlds and look for these Chaos Emeralds.
I was thinking like something about those. I don't know what the hell they are.
That's the setup for the sequel where they focus more on the worlds of the universe of Sonic, where it's all these other worlds of the mushrooms, and because he had a map with different worlds in, and they will probably have to go through all those different worlds looking for the Chaos Emeralds, and they interact with other characters.
That would be a cool movie.
And eventually they come across Dr. Robotnik again,
and he's got a bone to pick, and he's absolutely he's fucking bonkers.
There we go. Point. So the setup for the sequel seems like it could be a lot better than the first movie, because I'm more excited to see that aspect of where it's more on par with the games. But like I said, this movie was a nice setup. It was a good setup, and I'm okay with it. I don't want to ask for too much and be like, "Where's Knuckles? Where's Tails?" Like, no. They have to set it up. They have to set it up. So this is the good one, man. So I'm happy they included Tails in there, and hopefully from here on out we go.
Yeah,
we go to the right direction.
One thing I want to say about this movie that we've talked about a little bit is Jim Carrey's performance in this movie. The reason why I loved it so much is because I grew up with Ace Ventura. I grew up with like Liar Liar, a lot of like The Mask, a lot of classic Jim Carrey, where it's just him going bananas, and I loved that as a kid.
Yeah, there's a couple moments where it reminded me of Cable Guy too. If you've ever seen that movie,
yeah, absolutely.
Where he kind of goes crazy a little bit. It's just like
he has a single scene in there that made me the entire time almost bust a gut. Was he has a playlist called Songs for Anarchy, and he starts playing it. He's dancing to the shit, and he's trying to mess with this quill, and it shocks everything. Comes back on. He doesn't miss a beat. He's pretending to run from a T-Rex. He turns around and he like bends his head down to look like it bit off his head. I was like, this is awesome. I want to see literally like 30 minutes on YouTube of just Jim Carrey dancing to music, if this is what it's like. Like, that was really fun for me. I loved that. Other scenes, that whole Sonic, I already said it once, that whole Sonic moment killed me. I thought that was hilarious. And I'm not even that big into Sonic, but that meme I've seen 100 times. I think that the quality of the visual effects for Sonic and Tails and other aspects of Sonic-ism was top notch. I mean, the visual effects department outdid themselves, given the fact that they did have to rework that. And I think Jim Carrey's performance being as wild as it was, and the updated cartoonish look to Sonic, really complemented each other in ways that one without the other would not have worked as well.
Yes.
So I think that was a plus for those two things.
No, absolutely. And another thing I wanted to touch on was we didn't get Knuckles, but we did get a hint of what he could possibly look like. Because in the beginning of the film, Sonic, when he's baby Sonic, he's running around in this world and he's being mentored by an owl, which I don't remember seeing that owl character in any of the games, but I can be completely wrong here. But I remember seeing him. That owl character was voiced pretty good as well. And I like the premise of him being mentored by this owl and then giving him the rings, and she didn't really have enough time to explain to him, a lot.
Yeah.
But he was being attacked by these villagers, or that look exactly like Knuckles. And in the game, Sonic Adventure 2 or 1, I believe it's 1, yes. Sonic has like a flashback moment, and he's like, not really like a flashback, but he has like this little sequence where he's actually talking to like some of the villagers that lived in this area that look exactly like Knuckles' race.
Cool.
So that's exactly what they looked like. They had the long hair. You just there's never really like a good close-up of any of the characters, but you can clearly see that that's what they looked like.
Right. That's cool. I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I like that.
So I like that they didn't include Knuckles in there exactly, but the villagers from that race are there.
As
so
a
we
taste.
can kind of see of what it could actually look like.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I don't think there's too much spoiler wise that we can get into other than to talk. It's a very simple plot. It's a plot of he is trying to lay low post leaving that world where he was with the owl. He has to protect the rings. He's doing that successfully. He's creeping on the cop, calling him Donut Lord. He is essentially just living life, pretending like he's a part of everybody's life in Green Hills, which I caught that reference, which was cool. And then, lo and behold, he gets upset with the fact that he's lonely. He has a discharge of electricity that kind of brings everyone's awareness, so he's trying to hide, ultimately to get shot with a dart gun, conveniently, I guess. And one of the portal rings opens, and all his rings fall and land atop a skyscraper. So then it's a movie of, we got to get to that place. Pretty simple, much. But cool. I mean, I thought it worked.
Yeah, it worked. It definitely worked for sure. And also, I just want to acknowledge that James Marsden, he had really good chemistry. Well, obviously, he can't really whenever they're filming these movies, Sonic isn't actually there. You know what I mean? But I think he did a pretty good job of delivering the lines and imagining if Sonic was there. I think he did pretty good.
It made me. I didn't even question it. I mean, that was really well done.
It seemed like he delivered his lines perfectly fine. I think for the character that he played, it was almost like a goofy cop, never really being taken seriously. But then he has a moment where he feels like he needs to prove himself, but then at the end of the film, he doesn't feel like he needs to anymore. Right. And he's happy with what he has. So yeah, and this movie definitely pulls on your heartstrings a little bit. It has its moments. here and there where it's like you feel for Sonic because he's a kid, but he's also lonely. Because he's never had the opportunity to make friends. And
that baseball scene was actually pretty well done. I mean, it was funny, but also had that.
And I felt for him because he was pissed. He was upset.
Yeah.
So yeah. And once again, I just want to, praise Ben Schwartz to doing a fantastic job on voicing Sonic. Like,
oh yeah,
he got the character down, and that is pretty much Ben Schwartz. Sonic is pretty much like Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool. Where it's like I don't know, like when I hear Ben Schwartz now, when I've seen some of his interviews, I think of Sonic right away now. Like as of recently, I've been rewatching some of it, or not rewatching, but I've been watching some of the interviews, after the film release and stuff to see what they're thinking, and it's exciting to see them excited that it's doing so well, and hopefully. From all the success that it's getting, because it's getting quite a lot of success, man. It's almost already breaking 57 million. It probably already broke it by the end of this year.
I think by now, because it's been out this weekend, and we're recording this on the Monday after it came out, I believe it's at 60 plus. I think it's at 60
mil, yeah. And
which is just domestic.
And it passed Detective Pikachu, so...
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I was rooting for Sonic to do better than Detective Pikachu, because Detective Pikachu wasn't as good as this at all, in my personal opinion.
Detective Pikachu's a 3, and this is a 3.5, so I agree.
Yeah, so
but yeah, no, I'm proud of how well this is doing, and that it's getting talked about in positive light. That it's for the fans apparently a smash success. I mean, every fan of Sonic I've heard from, which I've heard from about, I want to say 6 or 7 so far.
See, this is the thing too. Like the fan servicey person in me, not the movie critic guy, wants to give this movie a fucking perfect score.
Yeah, like they've loved it.
I'm a Sonic fan, whatever, but I have to review this as an actual film if it works and all this other stuff. So I have to take other things into account. It is not a perfect film. That's the thing. But it is an enjoyable video game movie, one that is a lot better than most video game movies, and this is in a good direction, man. And not only that, this is a stepping stool to other video game movies to finally get that, like they can start
the green light
a little bit more serious and get greenlit for more, movie adaptations and stuff. And hopefully Netflix can bring their own, interpretation of video games.
I would love, and I've said this for a few years, and I don't know how exactly it would be done. I would love to see, partially because I'm a huge fan of it, but a Legend of Zelda thing. I don't know what it would be. It'd be hard to do because Link is a protagonist.
Isn't very talkative. I would love to see a series.
But I don't know how it would be on which game they would try and adapt or what. But I think it has potential. Donkey Kong would be fun.
The one thing that I feel like Sega could have capitalized on was a success from this, was have something to release right after this movie, like a trailer to a new game or something. Because right now Sonic is very, very popular because of all the success in this movie. So now people are gonna want to replay some of their favorite games, and I think Sega kind of missed an opportunity there with releasing a new game or releasing a new trailer to get people excited for a new game, because right now would have been a good time to do that.
I think they probably didn't expect it to be as good as people are saying it is.
A lot of people expected this movie to be as good, and including the actors, which is why their expressions are like so
holy
lively and yes, you know what I mean? So I don't think themselves thought that it was going to be as good as it was. So good for them, man. I'm super happy, and I'm rooting for Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is going to be pretty much what Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the video game, is, where it's him and Tails going through different worlds and collecting Chaos Emeralds.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that's what it seems like it might be, so hopefully it is that, man.
Fingers crossed.
Is there anything else you want to give on this?
Not really, man. I will say this the whole time going through the movie, because it is a very quick moving pace. I would thought, normally I would have an issue with some of the pacing being very quick. Not with this one, because what's the tagline of Sonic? You gotta go fast. I was like, that's what they're doing here, and it actually kind of works. So I like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, pacing, I had no pacing issues, anything like that. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for sure. So. But other than that, that's pretty much it, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. And if you did, please slap a like on the video. Share it, as always. Put it on social medias, Twitter, Facebook. Just get the word out. And please keep spreading the love for What's Poppin' Podcast, because we put a lot of work into these reviews in the podcast. And also Tim does a lot of the editing. I just pretty much get a lot of the news-related topic stuff. So please,
you're a research department.
Continue to support our videos. It helps us a ton, especially because we love doing this. It's been a lot of fun, guys. And we're getting closer and closer to hitting our special 10 episode, which we will hopefully have an announcement by then for you guys, for hopefully potential, better stuff to come. But other than that, thank you guys again for watching. Please like and share it. Once again, follow our social medias, Twitter, Instagram, also our Twitch channels as well, at Mr. Hyrule, at Jimmy on Twitch. So go ahead and do that, and we'll catch you guys in the next review and the next podcast episode. See you soon. Take it easy, guys.
Bye.